What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the channel. My name is Eric, Nomad Eric, or the Nomad, whichever one you prefer. And today we're going to be reviewing Clash in Paris, France, the latest PLE from WWE, and a continuation of the apparent controversiality, I guess. It seems like every single week, or rather every single month, when these PLEs come around, it's almost like the internet can't decide if it was the worst thing they've ever seen or the best thing they've ever seen. For me, I fall in kind of like the upper half of this one. I thought this was a fantastic show. Maybe not the most story... Well, I guess I can't really say not the most story impactful, seeing as they murdered Roman Reigns in this thing. But we'll get to that in a second. However, there's a couple of things to note with the reviews. Over there, of course, we have the usual. We have Rob, we have Vic. My father's returned with his reviews as well. And then you might notice the different coloration above me. That is actually not Kane's reviews. Kane was slammed this week with work and life and everything like that. He has, I don't know if he's had a chance to watch it, but he damn sure hasn't had a chance to review it and send me his ratings for it. So instead, I am using Tom, or Redundancy, as you guys might know him on this channel. So Tom is one of my best friends, and Tom has actually never really gotten into wrestling. Back in August, right after SummerSlam, I went to Otakon, which was the big anime/gaming convention in DC. My buddy Tom and a couple of people came up to visit, and they all went with me to it. And while he was here, Tom said, I'm going to give you a weekend to sell me on wrestling, and if I enjoy it, I will watch it with you guys on Mondays and Fridays, and then, of course, the PLEs. So we did. We sat him down. We showed him Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Naomi from SummerSlam. We showed him Cena versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and we also showed him the TLC match from SummerSlam. So we kind of showed him those three matches to sort of kind of get him into like the feel. These are the ones that just recently happened. We also showed him Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky at Evolution too, so he could see what perfection looked like. And yeah, he loved it. He actually started watching the weekly shows, and now he is even watching Clash in Paris. So this is not only the first time that we've gotten Tom's reviews of a PLE, this is actually the first PLE he has ever watched live as it happened. So really exciting to see exactly what he thinks, someone that isn't used to these stories, isn't used to these characters, I don't want to say like he's fresh, so he's not like immune to certain things that are just like, okay, I expect these are going to pop him, and then things that I'm like deep diving into, he might miss. So I'm really excited to see just how much of a difference his opinions are based on ours. And we are going to start with the very first match that opened the show, and that is Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns. Now, this was a match I was really excited for, mostly because the internet seems to be kind of on the edge about the Seth Rollins division and everything. I personally love them. I love Bronson Reed. I love Braun Breaker. I love what they've been doing with them. And so I was super excited for this match. This was a huge opportunity for Bronson Reed to show himself against arguably still the #1 guy in the company. And I thought he knocked it out the fucking park. I thought Roman Reigns fought with his size good. I thought Roman Reigns was a very good face in this match, which is still something I'm getting used to after 4 years of him being the big bad guy. But I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was fun. I don't know how I feel about Roman Reigns coming out on top of this match. I thought this would have been a good chance to put Bronson Reed over, but at the same time, when you think about the hierarchy of wrestling, Bronson Reed pinning Roman Reigns clean, it's not logical. And at the same time, Bronson Reed getting interference to beat Roman Reigns doesn't really cement Bronson Reed in any way. So I actually think Roman Reigns coming out on top and then them killing Roman Reigns while he's signing his shoes and throwing them in the crowd. He gets speared to the table, and then he takes 3 tsunamis, one of them while he's strapped to the stretcher. Like, that was a beautiful moment. It does its job of selling Bronson Reed as a very dangerous man, but it also made logical sense. Roman Reigns is probably going to beat Bronson Reed if they're squaring off 1-to-1. I think that's... If you look at the power rankings of wrestling, it makes sense for Roman Reigns to beat Bronson Reed. Otherwise, it would have been a major upset, and it wouldn't make sense for him to do it clean. So I gave this match personally a 7. I thought it was a fun match. I thought it was a very interesting match, a very interesting dynamic between the two of them. As you can see, Rob, Vic, and my dad, we all gave it a 7 across the board. So let's see what Tom thought, given someone that has never really experienced Roman Reigns, because he doesn't watch Raw as much as he does everything else. Tom said, 9 out of 10. I like that Roman wasn't handed the victory. He had to actually work for it. Breaker and Reed coming in at the end with the cheap shots with the EMTs was a great way to keep the story going. Feels like there's going to be more on this later. As someone who doesn't really follow much, even I want Roman to have his revenge. That is a hilarious statement if you've been following for a long time, because Roman Reigns has been the big bad, and this would have been celebrated 2 years ago. Instead, we're like, no, Roman, please come back. So it is really interesting. Again, with Tom coming in long after the Bloodline story has already kind of reached its pinnacle as far as Roman is concerned, he's now getting to see a very fresh story being developed for Roman Reigns, whereas some of us that have watched for a while, this is a completely new twist for Roman ourselves. So, very unanimous across the board. I don't believe a 9 is going to cause this to go up to an 8, though, given that we do have 4 7s, but I'm just going to double check on it. And it is still going to be a 7. A 7.4, so it almost got it up there, but it is going to be a 7. Nope, not. It is going to be a 7 there. So, 4 out of 5 of us agree that it's a 7. That's where it's going to go. Next up, we have the tag match between the Street Profits and the Wyatt Six. Once again, the SmackDown tag division is on fire, and I thought this match was fucking excellent. I loved every minute of it. I'm a huge Street Profits fan. That has been absolutely no surprise to anyone that's been following this for a while. You guys know that I've been a huge Street Profits fan. I was happy when they won the title initially. And then, of course, they won that TLC match. I thought that was great. On SmackDown, of course, the Wyatt Six won the TLC match at SummerSlam. But I love the Wyatts. I love what they've been doing with the Wyatt Six. I love this presentation that they've had. They're now a serious player. They're not just background noise. They're an active member. They actively mix things up. They add another layer to this tag division. I thought the influence of Bo Dallas on the Street Profits, where they're kind of like hesitant at the beginning and no, I'm gonna take care of this, you stay back and stuff like that, and they're kind of getting in each other's heads. I thought that was an excellent take. Listen, if you take the Karrion Kross character and you put it on someone like Bo Dallas, or you take that character and you put it on someone like Aleister Black, it's going to work so much better than Karrion Kross ever could before Getty ever existed. And it looks like they're starting to do that with Bo Dallas, and I'm very interested to see that continue going forward. Personally, love this match. I thought it was excellent from start to finish. I know this is one of those matches that's kind of a little bit hit or miss for some people, as you can see by the absolute varying reviews that we have for this match. The calculator is going to get a workload here. Personally, I gave this match a 9 out of 10. I thought it was excellent. I thought it was absolutely... It wasn't perfect by any means, because they're obviously, given that it's the second match of the night, it's a tag match, there's going to be something missing. But I still thought this was excellent. I gave it a 9. I loved it. Rob gave it a high B, so Rob gave it a 7.5. We'll go ahead and count it as a 7.5. That's fine here. We have Vic giving it an 8 out of 10. My dad wasn't a huge fan of it. He gave it a 6 out of 10. Tom, on the other hand, said 8 out of 10, loved the Wyatt Six, never felt like they were in danger of losing this match. Feel like they are getting ready for something insane around Halloween time. The Wyatts probably should stay on top until then. I actually agree with him here. Just from a commercial standpoint, you're doing this big thing at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, Universal Studios Orlando, and Universal Studios in Hollywood. It makes sense to have them as a champion of some kind. Maybe even get Nikki Cross involved in the women's title, maybe the U.S. title, maybe the women's championship. What the fuck's Tiffany Stratton? What is Tiffany doing with it at this point? Like, nothing. I can't think of anything that Tiffany Stratton is doing with that belt right now. Just give it to someone like Nikki Cross and let's actually get creative with it, in my opinion. Have Bo Dallas go after Sami Zayn. And you can literally pick up the storyline you were just telling with Sami Zayn with Bo Dallas. Beautiful. Give all the gold to the Wyatts at this point. Honestly. I think it'd be a great idea. Tom gave this match an 8 out of 10. So dividing it by 5, we're actually going to give it a 7.7. So even though my dad wasn't a huge fan of it, 7.7, we don't have, fractions on here on the actual chart, so it is going to go up to an 8. It kind of fits in line with what everyone was saying. I loved it. Everyone else gave it a 7 or an 8, so it makes sense where it's at. Next up, we have what is probably the most controversial match on the card, and that's Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch. Now, Nikki Bella, when she was the hottest thing since sliced bread, the women's revolution hadn't really begun yet. The Becky Lynches, the Baileys, the Charlottes, they hadn't really come around yet. The Paiges and the AJ Lees and the Mickie James and the Trish Stratus's were there, although Mickie and Trish were on the later ends of their run. But the women's revolution hadn't truly started yet. So at the time, there was a lot of okay women's wrestling, a lot of up to good women's wrestling. I mean, you had Paige, you had AJ Lee, but outside of Nikki Bella, who's in my opinion the better of the two Bellas, you didn't really have a lot of competition in the women's division at the time. So to see her come back and get another shot, she already was okay. She was already good in a sea of okay. Now she's good in a sea of great. It's going to show more, in my opinion. And the ring rust that she was going to develop is going to compound on that, and it resulted in a match that, in my opinion, wasn't the best. I don't think it was quite as bad as what my dad said it was, but I also don't think it was nearly as good as what Vic said it was. I gave this match a straight up 5. The match just kind of existed for me. There was a couple of really bad botches. The table spot was dog shit. Becky barely sold. And I get it, that table's hard. You don't want to hit your head too hard on it, but do something more than what you did. And when you weren't going to sell for it, switch out of the move or something. Don't consistently do it 4 or 5 times just to show how little you actually cared about that spot. Everyone is talking about the turnbuckle move where she did the kick off the turnbuckle and Becky wasn't there and she tried to sell it. And listen, botches like that are going to happen all the time. The problem was you had that botch after the table spot and the rest of the match wasn't spectacular. It was hard to save it for me. The linchpin is interesting. My dad didn't like it because it was kind of abrupt. Tom even mentions that here. I'll go into his review here in a second. If that is now her special pin, the linchpin, how she pins them, then I'm okay with these abrupt endings if you're making that move a special, making that move a finisher to a degree. She won the Intercontinental Triple Threat match with the exact same type of pin. So if you're calling it the linchpin, which they did on commentary, if that is now her special thing, okay, I get it. Otherwise, right now while you're trying to establish it, it does kind of hurt the matches a little bit as well. But again, if they establish it, that's the linchpin, they keep that name, it goes with it, she wins a few more times using specifically that move to seal that pin is very special and hard to break out of, then fine. We'll accept these types of finishes. Right now, it's going to hurt them, but that's just going to be some growing pains that we're going to have to deal with here while we're getting used to this new Becky Lynch. So again, I gave it a 5. Rob gave it a straight up 5 as well, giving it a C. We have Vic gave it a 6. Dad gave it a 4. He hated it. He said, and I quote, actually if I'm not mistaken, Dad said, and I quote, worst match I've seen all year. That's how bad this match was for him. This was the worst match he'd seen all year, and that man watched 3 Karrion Kross matches. Actually, probably more than that, Karrion Kross matches. And I love Sami Zayn. He's one of my favorite wrestlers, but that Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross match at SummerSlam, that might be my worst. And then, of course, Tom gave it a 6, stating, it was all right. Might have had more impact if I knew the history between these two. Honestly, Tom, if you're watching this, there really wasn't a ton. This was basically the greatest of the Divas era versus the greatest of the Revolution era, which was like the era of women's wrestling before where we're at right now. Back before Nikki Bella, it was bra and panties matches and mud matches. It was all sex appeal. Nikki came in, the Divas era, if you will. That was when women started fighting a little bit more, having more serious matches, more serious stories, better wrestlers in general, better talent. And then you had the Women's Revolution, which was Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and all them, before we got to where we are right now. So this was kind of the best of 2 different eras kind of coming in ahead. But in my opinion, probably 5 years too late, but it's hard to say. Overall, this match is going to end up getting a 5.2. It is going to go down to that 5, which is honestly where I think it should be. That's where I put it. So 5.2, it's going to round down to a 5. Next up, we have my father's favorite match of the card. We have Rusev versus Sheamus. Honestly, this match was fucking insane. Listen, I am a sucker for excellently booked car crashes, okay? I love the TLC match at SummerSlam. I love this match. It was a Donnybrook match, so you knew what you were getting involved with. You knew there was going to be a lot of weapons. You knew these two were going to beat the ever-loving dog shit out of each other. And, of course, you weren't going to see either one of them wrestling on Monday Night Raw the next night because they got to lick their wounds and heal their bruises. So this match was fantastic. I loved the back and forth. I loved the timing on everything. No real botches to speak of, which was pretty insane for the amount of weapons and movements the two of them were doing. Fighting on the bar, where we were fighting on that big, those barrels. That's that big iconic picture that everyone said should be the new Cracker Barrel logo. This is an excellent match from start to finish. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It is hard for these car crash type matches to really escalate to that A rank in my opinion. But an 8 out of 10 is still a 4-star match. It is still an excellent match. I loved it. Whoever won this match, I would have been okay with. I am kind of glad they gave it to Rusev, just because if you're looking at someone you're trying to establish, the newer wrestler, well, not the newer wrestler, Rusev was here before, but the returning wrestlers should probably go over in their first major feud. So I am perfectly okay with that decision on this winner. 8 out of 10, though, absolutely fantastic. As you can see over on the other side there, we have Rob that gave this match a B, gave it a 7. We have Vic that gave it an 8 as well. My dad said it was the match of the night. He gave it a 9. Tom also agreed, gave this match a 9, said really fun to watch. A lot of kickouts, and I love the move they got Sheamus to tap out. It was brutal. Excellent. I agree with him as well. That shillelagh to the mouth and like putting him like it was a very, very, very well done, put together match. Overall, it is going to get an 8.2 when you average this out, so it is going to go to that 8. But I still think that's an excellent spot for this match. Maybe if Rob or someone had rated this a little bit higher, it could have gone up possibly to that 8.5 and get bumped up to the 9. But I think we can all agree an 8 out of 10 is still an excellent spot. Next up, we have a match that I personally thought was either going to be the match of the night or was going to end up being the worst match of the year. And for me, this was my match of the night. I fucking hate how good Logan Paul is at this shit. I hate how good he is with it. I hate how good he is at telling stories. And when he's in the ring with someone that also wants to tell a story, that also wants to put on a good match, that also wants to make it meaningful, that also wants to send a message, that also wants to test Logan Paul and see if Logan Paul can handle a very antagonistic crowd, a very hot crowd in Paris that was very pro-Cena. I don't think you'll ever see a crowd that's pro-Logan. He got booed in Cleveland, which is his hometown. But, you know, this was still a hot crowd. They're gonna be loud. They're gonna get in your head. They've been in your head this entire build-up. This was an excellent showcase for Logan to see if he could handle the pressure of being in a very high showcase match. He's fought Roman, he's fought Cody, but you've never fought Cena. This was an excellent, excellent match. Again, fucking hate Logan Paul. He was excellent in this match. And I thought the back end of Cena's retirement tour has been absolutely excellent. It's almost been no misses. It has been a phenomenal run that he's been on ever since. The Randy match was good, but ever since that CM Punk match, man, he has been on an absolute tear. And so I gave this match a 9 out of 10. As you can see, it's basically 9s across the board, except Rob gave it a 7.5, but I'm still pretty sure this is going to end up getting that 9 rating. Tom said that Paul impressed me. This was a good one. It legit felt like they were actually going to let Paul win there for a little bit. I'm glad he didn't. Tom is also not a fan of Logan Paul, but can still acknowledge the fact that he's a damn good wrestler. So, again, I thought it was an excellent match. I'm really intrigued to see where they go from here. I am pretty sure Brock Lesnar is going to be the fight at WrestlePalooza. I'm actually going to the SmackDown in Norfolk in 2 weeks. And fucking Brock Lesnar is literally the promoted wrestler on the ticket. So I know that I'm going to get to vehemently boo Brock Lesnar live in person. Very excited about that one. But ultimately, I can't wait to see where they take Logan Paul with this. There's a lot of different directions he can go with this now that he's shown that he can handle the confrontation here. I'm intrigued. Honestly, give me Logan versus Sammy. I think that would be excellent. Put him back in the U.S. title scene, and let's run Logan versus Sammy at WrestlePalooza. I think that would be great. Finally, we have our main event of the evening. We have the World Heavyweight Championship Fatal 4-Way between Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. Now, in my opinion, predictable win. Seth Rollins winning was absolutely the predicted win, in my opinion. I didn't see any other finish really making much sense besides Seth Rollins winning. And I also expected them to finally add the fourth member of the Vision. What I was not expecting them to pull the trigger on was Becky Lynch being the fourth member. I knew it was a strong possibility. She said on Cody Rhodes' podcast, if I'm not mistaken, that she would love to be the first Paul Heyman girl. So I figured that it was a strong possibility, but I honestly thought it was going to be someone like Ricky Saints or maybe even Ethan Page, but Ricky Saints is currently fighting Obafemi down in NXT for the title. And, you know, Ethan Page is currently NXT's North American champion. So I thought they were going to maybe take someone from NXT and kind of give them a spotlight here and kind of like work them into the main roster this way. But going with Becky Lynch is still a very good move. And I'm pretty sure we can all see where this is going with CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Probably at WrestlePalooza as well, because they really want to sell that pay-per-view. So, with being that it's, you know, the first one on ESPN. So, ultimately, I thought the match banged. I thought LA Knight and Jey Uso was excellent in this match. I thought CM Punk was phenomenal, although I do feel like they definitely put more focus on Knight and Uso and less so on CM Punk. Mostly because CM Punk has been the highlight for quite some time, and he's also probably going to be at WrestlePalooza, so it made sense for Knight and Jey Uso to kind of get their licks in here. The only issue that I have with this match is it was so hard for me to truly take seriously the Punk versus Uso versus Knight, because it's three faces. Yes, the title is the most important thing here, but only having one super heel and then three top baby faces made the dynamic a little bit hard to get into when they were fighting each other. I never felt like they were actually going full, and it felt like, and again, in kayfabe, not actually in the actual, like, not, you know, Phil Brooks and Joshua, right? Like, the actual characters were clearly holding back here, and so it hurt the match, but it also made sense. But for the ratings purposes, I gave this match an 8 out of 10. Still an excellent match, but not something that I'm just like, okay, this is. You could have argued, if it wasn't for the Becky Lynch thing, you could have probably had Logan versus CM Punk main event, or Logan versus Cena main event, and it would have been just as fine. But ultimately, Becky Lynch being the fourth member was excellent. As you could tell by Tom's ratings up there, he didn't quite agree. Thought that Becky Lynch was bullshit. But again, this is the review that I was looking for, because this is a new wrestling fan that is now being exposed to the bullshittery of most of your modern heels, not just in WWE, but AEW, TNA, Japan wrestling. They all have heels that all fuck everyone over. So I'm glad that Tom finally got exposed to this. I gave it an 8. We have Rob giving it a 7.5. We have my dad and Vic also both giving it an 8. And then we have Tom giving it a 7. I don't think it's going to change since 3 out of 4 of us picked an 8 and one picked a 7.5. It's probably still going to be an 8 or somewhere in that range. So we're going to give it an 8 here. Tom said, I loved it until the end. Punk was utterly robbed of his victory here, and I couldn't help but be angry for him after all of Rollins' talk about how he didn't need any help, then got bailed out by his wife. Pathetic. I love that Tom is buying into this. He feels bad for CM Punk for getting fucked over. I love it. This has been the best thing that's happened to me, is Tom getting into wrestling. I love this. This is refueling my love for the game, Tom. I hope you understand that. I appreciate it so much. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the review here. I'm losing my voice, and I have to stream in technically a minute because I'm filming this on Tuesday, and I probably shouldn't be losing my voice before I stream. That's not good. But anyway, guys, y'all have a fantastic night. Let me know what you guys thought of Clash in Paris down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking about WrestlePalooza coming up in a couple of weeks. Because I personally don't know how I feel about WrestlePalooza, mostly because I still don't know how I feel about Brock Lesnar being back in general. So I'm very excited to boo him, and I'm very excited to see what you guys think, and I'm very excited to be back here again in a month for WrestlePalooza review. You guys have a fantastic night, and I will see you all then. Or next time, because maybe I'll end up recording a gaming video or something. I don't know. Take a note for those too. Have a good night. Peace.